Hello, my loves. Today I'm telling you about that time I failed at manifesting a specific person and why it was really the best thing that ever could have happened. Firstly, if you are new here, I want to welcome you into my space, into my world. If you've been here before, then welcome back. I appreciate your support. I appreciate this community so much. You have no idea. If you don't know who I am, my name is Lorena. I am a self-concept mentor and coach. I'm here to guide you to becoming the most aligned, most authentic, most embodied version of yourself so that you can manifest a reality that you love to wake up to every day and that you can really align with your most authentic soul desires and make them a reality. If you want my personal support, if you want to be coached by me, check out the link in the description box. The link to my signature coaching program, Recreate Yourself. This is how you can work with me. If you're curious about it, you want to talk about it, you have questions about it, or about working with me, send me a DM on Instagram or send me an email if you don't have Instagram, or send me a message on Facebook if you don't have Instagram. And we can chat about whether it's for you. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you like this kind of content and you like being here. Okay, let's get into the video. So today's topic is a bit of a personal story, personal experience, as you know, the title says. It's about an experience that I made, and I'm also going to give you a lot of guidance at the end regarding this. This is a story that I haven't told publicly ever, I don't think. Since I've been doing this work, I have really stayed away from the whole specific person topic. And I created a whole other video on this, and it was supposed to be my only video ever about this topic, and here we are. Here's another video about it. There I really give some more experiences from me, from my clients, about manifesting a specific person, what worked, what didn't work, the intention behind it, when you should do it, when it's maybe not a good idea to approach it that way. The full shebang is in that video. I'm going to link it in the description and also in an info card somewhere over my head. I never know which direction to point. But this is about a story where I failed to manifest a specific person. And I feel like this is something that people, especially coaches, don't really talk about, because there is this connotation in the industry, especially in the niche around manifestation, especially in the more specific niche around manifestation, where the idea of manifesting a specific person is even accepted, because that's not accepted everywhere. A lot of people are very much against that. But when you are in the part of the industry where people are okay with these types of manifestations, people don't really speak about the times it did not work. And it's not a negative story, by the way. This is why the failed is in quotation marks. But I think it's important to speak about it because I know there's a lot of people who may be watching this. There's a lot of people that I speak to in my DMs every day. There's a lot of people that come to me and work with me as clients who have been trying to manifest a specific person for many, many months or even years. There's nothing wrong with manifesting what you want, but I think people only talking about how easy it is to manifest a specific person leads to the audience, leads to people who are attempting this, questioning themselves, doubting themselves, feeling bad about themselves, feeling like a failure when something isn't working for them, when something isn't aligning for them, because apparently it's so easy and all the coaches can do it, and it's simply not true. Because again, there is no one size fits all. And that's why I want to share my story, because I want to really validate you. If you have been trying to manifest a specific person for a long time, or maybe you also quote unquote failed at it, or you had a wake up call, which is really more what this is about for me. It's a very positive story at the end of the day, because it was the best thing that could have happened to me. Or even if you succeeded at it, but it turned out not to be what you thought it would be, which is also something that plays into my story, then I want you to really feel seen in this, because you're not alone and you're not doing anything wrong. Maybe this is going to be a really big lesson for you. So people don't tend to come to me just because they want to get something, but it's often a side effect. So it's usually part of the intention is that they have a big dream, a big vision, and that can look different ways, but sometimes relationships are part of that. Sometimes a desire for a relationship with somebody specific is even part of that. On occasion, that is exactly what happens. We work together and people manifest their specific person. Most of the time, it's a wake-up call for them to realize that it's not actually what they wanted, and they end up manifesting a way more aligned and conscious and healthy and beautiful relationship than they would have had or could have had with that specific person. Again, very personal to each individual. What I'm sharing about others, what I'm sharing about myself does not need to apply to you. I just want to share my story. So let's get into it. So this is something that happened years ago, and I was just at the beginning of my manifestation journey. And I heard from people that you can't manifest somebody specific. And the rebel I am, I was like, let me fucking prove it to you that I can. And I had actually just gone through a bit of a relatively small heartbreak. I started getting interested in new people and was kind of healing from that. And there was one person who I did not know yet, who was a public figure. There's so much detail that goes into it. This was not somebody who was already in my field. This was somebody that I deliberately picked out because I was like, he's cute. So I didn't know him. He was a complete stranger. And I was like, I am going to manifest this person. And you know what? I did. I didn't push, I didn't pressure, I just set the intention and I forgot about it. And a few months later, this person actually came into my field. We actually connected, we actually went on a date, and we started an initially very casual relationship. I was very much coming from a place still of looking for external validation. I was very much coming from a place of not feeling worthy, not feeling lovable. I had made many relational experiences, particularly in romantic relationships, where I wasn't chosen, I wasn't being committed to, I didn't feel loved, I didn't feel lovable. To be completely transparent, I often used sex to get love. So I would sleep with someone way quicker than I actually wanted. Wow, this is a vulnerable video. Because I actually craved love. With this person, it started the same way. So even the consciousness that I had about manifestation, the spiritual awakening that I'd already had, it didn't keep me from acting from a place of unworthiness. And you know, when I saw it working, because I had deliberately manifested a stranger into my life, and suddenly we had a relationship. We weren't together at the time, but it was a casual on and off relationship, which at the time I thought was the best I could get with where I was at, with my self-worth and with my confidence and with my own self-love. I saw so much movement and I got excited, and it almost turned into a bit of a game for my ego. And then something happened. I fell in love. We really developed a super strong connection, and I fell hard for him. And I loved him a lot. That's when I decided I'm actually going to manifest a relationship with this person. And we got closer and closer, and it worked. And one day he was like, I love you. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. He moved in with me. It all worked. It all worked. However, every time something worked, something else stopped working. If he was completely faithful and loyal to me and fully choosing me and fully with me, there was something else that was off. If he was treating me in such a beautiful way, he would suddenly begin seeing another woman out of the blue without a warning. There were a lot of other factors that played into it, and I'm not going to go too much into detail regarding those factors because I also want to protect this person, and it's one thing sharing my personal story and my personal stuff. It's another thing dragging another person into it, so I'm not going to go deep into that. But there was a lot that happened, and here's the thing. By this point, I knew exactly how to get into a state. I had already developed my method, which I teach now. Now I teach it from a place of it's about you. And it's about getting into the most confident, aligned, authentic, embodied version of you so that you call in the desires that are authentic to your soul and authentic to your heart and not coming from your ego. Very big difference. This was coming purely from my ego. And I can tell you most of the people who want to manifest a specific person is coming from their ego, even if they don't want to admit it. Because you're not going to obsess over a specific person. You're just not going to if it's a soul-led desire. Your soul doesn't obsess over individual people. Your soul values alignment. Your soul values authenticity. Your soul values your purpose. And because I knew how to consciously manifest, I was manifesting. Everything was moving. Everything was going really well. Even this relationship was moving forward. But there was something that was always off. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And I questioned myself so much. I was so much in a place of, what am I doing wrong? Where am I not fully in alignment? Where am I not fully in the perfect state? Because clearly there's still something off. Here he's not choosing me, or here he's not showing up for me, or this thing that he said to me 3 months later, I find out it was all a lie. Where am I going wrong? I feel that it's done. I fully believe in it. And it was coming, although it was initially an ego desire, by that point I did love him. I think this is something sometimes where people get tripped up because they love someone. They think it's coming from their soul, but it doesn't have to be. So it was an authentic desire in the sense that I did really love him and I did really consciously want this. So I was like, why is this not working? Why is this not working fully? I was having no trouble persisting through adverse circumstances. I was persisting through real hard stuff. Again, not going into detail. I was persisting. Things would shift, then go back. And I wasn't shifting my state. I wasn't shifting my self-concept. I was in a really good place with this. It took a long time to realize I'm doing nothing wrong. And still this isn't working. This is, I think, the thing people don't talk about enough. It's not always that you're doing something wrong. Often, it's not that you're doing anything wrong. I'll tell you why it wasn't working. I was still trying to mold him into the ideal version of him. I was trying to mold him into who I wanted him to be. I was not accepting him as he was. And if I had truly accepted him as he was, I would have had no desire to manifest him. Because it's one thing to accept somebody how they are, but then you're still loving them exactly as they are and you're wanting to be with them exactly as they are, but then they would be choosing you. Then it would be already a done deal. If you're trying to get somebody to choose you, if you're trying to get somebody to show up differently for you or in their life, it's a different scenario for everyone. You're not accepting this person for who they are. You're trying to change them. And there is nobody to change but yourself. It's never about another person. It's never about another thing. And the specific person topic aside, this applies to other things as well. I noticed that when, even in my business, when I start getting my identity wrapped up in my business, when I give my business too much power, it's not working. It only flows when I focus on myself and my authenticity and how I want to show up. Not when I'm trying to get anything, not when I'm focusing on the result, not when I'm hyper-focused on an outcome. So I was trying to change him because he wasn't fully choosing me. He wasn't fully showing up the way I wanted him to show up. And honestly, now I can obviously see, years later, I can see we were not aligned at all. We were in a way because obviously we ended up together, but that was not the person for me. I was trying to shape him into becoming the person for me, and that was so unconscious. I wasn't consciously trying to change him. It was very subtle. And why would you try to change somebody? Why would you try to want to be with somebody who doesn't want to be with you or who's not aligned with the kind of person you want to be with? I was saying this to my clients recently. Isn't the most unattractive thing somebody can have or do if they're not aligned with you? If they don't choose you, Is there anything less attractive than somebody not choosing you? How is that attractive when somebody isn't already the ideal person for you? How are you attracted to that? And I'm saying that without judgment because that's how I used to be. I used to be attracted to that, but that came from my own lack of self-worth. Now, how did this end? How did I fail at this? Failure is giving up. Failure is not, it's only the end if you want it to be the end, right? Failure just means you're falling down, you're getting back up. So why do I even use the word failed? And I'm using it in quotation marks. What happened was, after a long, long time of back and forth, essentially, things working, then things not working, it never being fully stable, it never feeling easy and smooth, he full on rejected me, where he never wanted to see me again. And when he rejected me, that was the biggest gift that I ever received. It was the most painful thing at the time. And honestly, he rejected me and I was like, I'm going to persist through this. And I know I can. But it was so painful. And I got so angry through it because of everything that we'd been through together. Again, not going into details. That rejection brought up all the residue emotions in me that had nothing to do with him, that came from my childhood, that came from my lack of self-worth, and it woke me the fuck up. Whilst it was immensely painful at the time, I survived. I made it through, and it made me realize my biggest fear has just come true. I'll be okay no matter what. I don't need anybody to be with me. I don't need anybody to choose me. Well, why am I saying this relationship failing was the biggest gift? Because if you are currently in a place of being really attached to somebody, you might be like, well, you should have persisted more. I can only see this now, years later, that I am so glad this didn't work out. I'm really, really grateful. Because if that had worked out, I would not have woken up to self-concept work to the extent that I'm doing it now. I would not be able to support so many of my clients, to so many women. I would not feel so whole. I would not have gone deep into my own shadows and integrated them. I would not be so clear on what I actually want in a relationship. And I wouldn't be so ready for it. I have consciously been single for a while now, and I'm just opening back up to the idea. But now I'm opening back up to the idea of being with someone from such a different place, from a place of such an empowered position, so clear, so worthy, so fulfilled, so unattached. I would never have woken up to all of this if that relationship had manifested so easily. I would have settled with that relationship because that was not the person for me. I thought that was the person for me, but he wasn't. Sometimes you cannot see that what you think you want isn't actually good for you. Not because you're not able to have it, because you can't decide for yourself, or because you're being dictated what you can or can't have, but because you're maybe settling. Because I was settling. I was really settling for this relationship. And now I know what I really desire. It really woke me up. I know the kind of life I want to build. I am so much more aligned with my true self. I really feel all the infinite possibilities that are out there for me. I'm not restricting myself anymore, ever. I feel the love inside of me. I feel fulfilled within me. I feel the abundance inside of me. And I have such a deep level of trust. I'm not restricted to a specific person or a specific circumstance. It can be so limiting, guys, if you restrict yourself to this is how it has to be. This has forced me to surrender so deeply. The rejection was such a gift because it forced me to surrender. That's how I learned how to surrender, guys. I speak so much about surrender. That's what brought me to surrender. Surrender is not giving up your power, it's giving up your control, though. It forced me to let go of a future that I had just created in my head. And that process of letting go, of having to let go, catapulted me right into my soul desires. That is what I really want. Not what I thought I wanted. That is what I really want. It forced me to get away from the outside and what could validate me and really go within. What is my truth? What do I really deeply desire? How do I want my life to look? This is my life. What do I want it to look like? I started looking within for the love, for the worth, for the validation. It helped me to rebirth, reshape, and shift my entire identity and my entire sense of self-love and self-worth. It completely transformed how I showed up in the world. It completely transformed my relationships, all of my relationships. It helped me change my self-concept. Not getting that relationship helped me change my self-concept. Without this ending, I would not have been forced to rebirth myself. And when it comes to changing your self-concept, most people try to change their self-concept in order to get something on the outside. You've got it the wrong way around. When you show up differently in the world, you're going to attract different experiences. So changing your self-concept is the precursor to you receiving your manifestation. And that's what happened to me, right? I changed my self-concept so radically. I'm such a different person from who I used to be. And it transformed all the circumstances in my life, all the people in my life, all the success that I now have, the way I live, where I live, how I live. It transformed everything. And it manifested so many incredible opportunities and results. My friendships, my relationships, my business, how people treat me is different, how I show up is different. Even now that I'm getting back into the dating world, it's such a different experience. I'm so in my power. It's so much fun. I attract such a different type of men. I attract a different type of clients. It applies to everything. Changing my self-concept changed my reality. Full stop. But it's about the intention. I changed my self-concept for me. Don't change your self-concept because you think it's going to give you a certain result. Don't do it just so you can get something. If you do it that way, the intention is not pure. It's the other way around. Allow the circumstance to initiate you into a new version of yourself. I already said failure to me is not really a thing. It's a learning experience. It's a lesson. And it's different for every person, but when you fail at manifesting something, it can be that you just need to persist more. It can be that you need to shift your beliefs. It can be that it just takes time. It can be that you didn't really want it in the first place, that it's not an authentic soul desire. It can be that it's just a lesson and that it's just supposed to wake you up to your patterns and help you transform through that. Which of these, I believe that was 4 points, that is, I cannot tell you unless we work together. That will be different from person to person, from situation to situation. This is why I tell you, get support. Don't do this yourself. There were a lot of patterns I couldn't see just by myself, but that's the story here. That's the story, guys. I hope this helped you in some way. If you want to work with me, check out the link in the description box below. If you are curious about my coaching program, where I teach you how to change your self-concept through a step-by-step process, but also through individual and personalized support, through weekly coaching calls with me and daily communication with me, then send me a DM on Instagram and we can chat about it and see if it's a fit for you. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Share this video with somebody who you think can really benefit from it. Leave me a comment if you feel called. I love hearing from you to see what your takeaways are. And I love you. I'll see you next time.